Hey, so I just wanted to make a quick one here. I'm only 13 days in, 12 and a half really, into my experiment. The experiment consisting of prioritizing nothing over staying in the highest possible creative state, or staying on the high-flying disc, as Esther Hicks would say, or I guess staying in the state of the wish fulfilled, except that I don't have anything in particular that I'm manifesting right now, really. But anyway, I'm only 13 days into this, and I'm ready to call it, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to call it until it's been a full 30 days. But again, I'm basically on another planet after only 12 days of this. So much has become obvious, and interesting things have developed. You know, I became open to things that I've been very closed-minded to for ever, basically. Things changing my experience at work. I'm basically retired now. I think this is also thanks to watching Long Island Medium kind of by accident. Something about watching that show and the fact that the main person in that show is this just sort of loud, brash woman from New Jersey, or not New Jersey, New York, I guess. I don't know my American geography well enough. Long Island, obviously, that's not New Jersey. Boy, something about watching that and her being such a normal person, I guess, or normal might not be the right word, but somebody who you wouldn't, I guess, associate with spirituality. Something about that made it really accessible to me, or it made me not afraid of it anymore. Slowly over time, I became open to the idea that, you know, people that have crossed over are around. That was always something that was like, the thought of that was a lot of different negative emotions for me. Fear, discomfort. I just did not like that idea at all. And, you know, as I just saw over and over and over again her talk about this, it at the very least released that fear from me. It just shifted my perception a little bit, and that shifted everything else along with it. I was never open to the use of psychedelics at all. I didn't, you know, have any judgment on it for other people. I just didn't want to do it. I was just like, I don't know what that's going to be. And I don't like the idea of being in any way out of control out of control of what's happening mentally. And I just stopped being afraid of it. I started being curious about it instead. These are major shifts for me. So that's already happened in like 13 days. But so what I wanted to say was, it's become really clear to me that it's totally insane to not be prioritizing this. It's totally insane. It should be the number one priority all the time. And the reason for that is that it affects everything else going on. Everything you have happening in your life is impacted by your perspective, and all the choices and solutions that you come up with for the seeming problems in your life are affected by your perspective and by where you're coming from, your vibration, if you will, your frequency. The solutions to problems that you're able to see are going to be, you know, they're going to come through whatever frequency you're at. So if you're not prioritizing keeping yourself in this state, then I understand why that makes no sense, because I understand why that isn't intuitive, because I spent 43 years of my life not doing that until 2 weeks ago. Just if there was a problem that made me feel bad enough, or that seemed like enough of an emergency, then I would go into the problem and start to try to shift the perspectives and you know, get solutions from a higher state and all of that. But for the rest of the time, it was just like, whatever. It was just like being on the roller coaster of life that everybody is on. And honestly, it always seemed a little boring, I think, to me, to get off that roller coaster. But It's different. You just go on a roller coaster that's higher up here, you know? It's really not, it's no more boring. It's way more exciting, honestly. And a lot more of the emotions experienced are ones that you would consider to be pleasant, probably, than when you're on this real life roller coaster. And the other thing I wanted to say about this is that, you know, in this manifestation community where people are focusing on specific things that they want and then applying all these techniques and everything to them, and then experiencing the frustration of them not happening, or them not happening fast enough, or it appearing like nothing is happening. Basically all the interim time between when you set your intention and do whatever it is you decide to do to attempt to influence whatever is doing this. That's, to me, it's crazy that time is not being spent trying to hone, you know, these skills of controlling your own energy, which is, you know, controlling your own emotion, I guess. For me, this is weird because those words don't mean to me what I think they do to other people. Emotion for me is a weird word to use for that, but to try to sort of control what level you're thinking at from. That's all of that time spent worrying and thinking about the thing that you want and that it's not here yet, that you're not experiencing it right now. All of that is just, you have so much time in every day where you could be doing this. You could be the busiest person in the world and you still have so much time to focus on that, to focus on where am I mentally. You have so much time to do that. And prioritizing it makes it seem like there won't be time for the important things in your life, and it's the exact opposite. It makes the other important things in your life easier. It makes the solution to problems come so much faster and with so much less inner turmoil. It just doesn't seem intuitive, and I've been suffering from this. You know, I've been wanting to prioritize this for the last couple of years and feeling like I couldn't for a variety of reasons. So, my mom made me go to church from the time I was like 8 until 13 for some reason. And it made me a marginally better Jeopardy player. I didn't get much else out of it, but there's this one memorable event. There's this one memory that I have that was very impactful on me at the time. I think I was probably about 10 years old when this happened. It stuck with me, and I keep thinking about it over the last 2 weeks. At my church, during the church service, occasionally the pastor would have all the kids come up and sit in the front by the pulpit or whatever. Everybody would gather up there, sit on the floor, and he'd have some little kid-oriented lesson or whatever. And this one particular time, everybody went up there and he had 2 large jars that were the same size. And one jar was like 2/3 full of little pebbles, like that you would see like at the bottom of a fish tank. And the other one was empty. And then he had a big rock. So he had a kid come up and he said, you know, okay, try to put this rock into the jar full of pebbles. So the kid puts the rock in, he's trying to dig it in there so that the whole thing will fit and the jar can be closed. Can't do it, right? He's digging in there, he can't make it fit. It looks like the 2 things won't fit in the jar together. And then he said, okay, take the rock out, put it in the empty jar, and now pour all the pebbles into the jar that has the rock in it. And so the kid does this, and all the little rocks, all the little pebbles filled in all the empty space around the big rock, and everything fit into this jar perfectly. And the moral of that story was, You have to make God the central thing in your life, and then everything else will fall in place around that. That was always, I don't know why that stuck with me, because I just thought, I don't know, I was never like religious. I didn't think about God back then, but this is a perfect illustration of this. When you prioritize your own well-being, and you figure out whatever way you're going to do that. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to come up with an action that you have to take exactly. Like, you don't have to go for a run at the gym. If that's something that you do that relieves stress, and so you're thinking, well, I can't stop and go for a run every time, to bring my mood up. You don't have to do that. What you need is a thought. What you need is a way that you're going to bring yourself back to that higher mood. Esther Hicks says 15 minutes of listening to the fan. It doesn't take long before you don't have to do that all the time. And I'm coming from a privileged place here, sort of, if you could call it that. It's not really, I don't have the things I have directly because of privilege. I worked for everything I have, but I am at a point where I have the luxury of some freedom to kind of screw around with all this stuff. But you don't have to do a lot in order to stay in that higher mood. And it's just like that visual with the rock in the jar and pouring all the pebbles in around it. All the other things that are stressors, that are sucking away all your energy all day, that are leaving you feeling like a husk at the end of the day, those things will fall in around this central priority. And everything just starts to work in a different way. And you feel good all the time then, most of the time. When you're not actively bringing yourself up, then you feel good, which is like a reward in itself, whether or not it's bringing you the physical world things you think you want or whatever. It's just, look, if you can get to a point where you can intentionally feel good most of the time, that's what you're looking for from all the other things anyway. And this is what is revealed by just doing an experiment with this. Work with the part of yourself that is resistant to this idea, because there is a part, I think, in everyone that is very resistant to the idea of a major shift away from the life that's always been known. So just work with that part of yourself by making it a limited time experiment to shut off that anxiety about making that change. You can always go back. You know what I mean? You're not going to snap into some other reality that you can't sort of check back out of, back into the roller coaster if you want. It's really, it's not that hard to drop back down and just start allowing life to bat you around like you're a mouse and it's a cat. So it's really not that difficult. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's not a point of no return, essentially, to just commit to doing that for a while, and you'll see the benefits. I certainly did, and have, and am continuing to. And there have been periods of time where something that is a theme in my life has come up, and it's taken a little bit of time to work that out. You bring it back up and it falls back down, you bring it back up. In that case, for me, there's been something to look at there. And a big part of what's made this a lot easier for me has been consistently focusing on that this is an illusion. Me essentially looking at my life as though it is a story being told on a movie screen, and I'm the person in the theater. Throughout any given day, it's like, if you think about it, you're occupying varying different states of being here. Sometimes you're really here. Like, if you're feeling pain, like, you're really here. you're really here in the body. But even, when you're not, it's just throughout the rest of your day. Like, when you're daydreaming, you're not here. When you're aware of your own awareness, you're somewhere else. You can choose where you want to be. just by recognizing that you have all these different perspectives you can embody. And so the one for me that's been incredibly peaceful and healing in a bunch of ways, I've let a bunch of stuff go. I've experienced a bunch of things in a different way. This is all in 12 days. I've experienced that mainly from just applying this perspective to just about anything that comes up that is unpleasant or uncomfortable. It's just to remind myself that this is an illusion that was created by me, not me here talking on this video, higher self, whatever I'm connected to. It was created by that in some version, it's some version of myself. It's not separate from me. This was created by that for me. I'm doing this, and I'm keeping the things that are unpleasant in my experience by energizing them, by treating them like they are real and something that need to be worried about and felt bad about and all of that. I've been just basically saying, okay, I'm uncomfortable about this series of thoughts I just had, or I'm uncomfortable about the way I feel about this interaction that just happened. It's never the actual external, it's how you feel about it. I'm having feelings that I don't like about this thing. And then just saying, I made this up, it's not real. First of all, it's not real. So it's nothing to feel horrible about. This is a movie. This is a movie. So kind of like bring it down a notch. And then just saying, I'm not energizing this thing anymore. I've been giving this thing life for 43 years or 5 years or, however long it's been. I've been energizing this thing, and that is why it continues to live. I'm not energizing this anymore. I'm not participating in this ongoing drama anymore, which is being created by me in more ways than one. I'm just not energizing it anymore. I'm not judging it anymore. I'm just not thinking about it. I think one of the toxic things in this community is this sort of like ignoring emotions by shifting attention away. That is not the goal. The goal is to shift attention away and to stop experiencing whatever the emotion is, not to just ignore it or shove it down. It's to legitimately let it go. And you can absolutely ignore emotion, stuff it down, and look at something else, and that is not the same thing. It's not doing that. It is literally rewriting the perspective on whatever the thing is. And that has been the easiest way for me to just take the wind out of the sails of whatever the thing is that is dragging me down. And almost immediately, it's like a rise right back up. It's a sigh of relief, like a real feeling of release of tension in your body. That's what I think should come when you really and truly experience, ceasing to energize something that is causing you discomfort. And I've just, in the last 2 weeks, I just have realized that there's nothing more important than this. There's nothing that you could manifest in the 3D world that will provide that for you. So until you start doing that, you know what I mean? What's the point anyway? And a lot of people are already doing this. So I'm not like trying to say, I'm not like trying to talk down or whatever. I'm not trying to everybody is in the process of trying to do this for themselves in one way or another anyway. Just most people are looking to the external to do that. And it is fleeting from the external. It is unreliable. It is changeable. It's out of your direct control a lot of the time. This isn't. This is in your direct control all of the time. And it is a matter of deciding that you and it are important enough to be prioritized, and having the courage and the faith that it will not destroy the rest of your life, basically, if you actually turn your priority towards your own inner experience of everything. So that is it. That was not short. Have a great day.